Washington State just looked at 3D printers and said, yeah, we should probably talk about this. And honestly, fair. So the state has introduced House Bill 2321, a bill aimed at regulating 3D printers, specifically to address manufacturing illegal firearms and restricted weapons components. On the surface, this sounds pretty straightforward. Prevent people with 3D printers from printing things they shouldn't be printing. Lofty goal. When you read the bill, it becomes we're not just maybe talking about guns, we're talking about licensing printers, tracking ownership, and criminal liability tied to what is at its core just a general purpose manufacturing tool. And that's where it gets interesting. The printer itself is not the weapon, it's a tool. The same tool that we use to print medical braces, replacement car parts, tabletop miniatures, cosplay armor, engineering prototypes, and yes, occasionally things that absolutely should not be made. So tonight, we're not going to do a knee-jerk, this is good or this is bad reaction, because that's not how we do necessarily on this show. We're asking a real question. What does regulating harmful use become regulating the tool itself, and where do we draw that line? Once the state starts doing it, where does it stop? So we're going to talk about HB 2321, what it does, what it might accidentally do, and why a lot of people who've never printed anything illegal are suddenly like getting all up in arms about this. Okay, so let's talk about the bill. And for everybody's reference, I highly encourage you, if you're going to go talk about a bill, okay, they put the dang things on the internet, right? Like these things are not, they don't hide this stuff. Okay. So the bill is all out there, but let's back up for just a second. Jay, I haven't spent, I know I have a lot of friends who do it, but I haven't spent a whole lot of time. You are an engineer by trade, right? You've done some 3D printing. What is your first knee jerk reaction to kind of hearing this?
Yeah. So my first knee jerk reaction is like, okay, you went from like the lowest extreme to like the most extreme. And now you got to find like some sort of middle ground here because, like, yes, you can 3D print things that you should not 3D print. And if you can 3D print a gun that's like not traceable, then you're creating a really bad world. So yes, it should be monitored somehow, but going to the extreme side, like what you talked about, Alex, that's way too extreme because so we had a print lab in college.
For 3D, a 3D print lab.
Yeah. Okay. So like a wall, you just had a wall of like maybe 10 printers and you could just walk in whenever you wanted, plug your laptop up to a printer and print something. Okay. It was that simple. And it was fun. And yeah, like sometimes like people would print like the little, you know, like the little penis guys with the little feet that are like really cute and adorable. And people, you know, have the debate of like, should we really be using like college funds to do this? But yeah, no one got in trouble for anything that was 3D printed. And we have a 3D printer at work for specifically my department for rapid prototyping. And this is where like the industry side of things can really.
So this is something you use. Hey, we need to design a prototype real fast to see if this part will fit in this part.
Yep.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about what the bill does, right? So first they start defining illegal firearm parts, right? And there's some stuff related to other RCWs. A lot of it is firearms you're not supposed to have or converting using 3D printed parts to turn weapons that are not machine guns into machine guns. Okay? Because you can 3D print some stuff to modify existing weapons to make them illegal. So, what does this law do? What this law does is it basically says, if you own a 3D printer, part of your software related to your 3D printer has to be blocking software that's designed and fits in a database that all the manufacturers agree to where there's certain parts and things that the blocking software, if you try and put it into the 3D printer, it will just say, nope, you can't do that. That's illegal, right? And so that's what you have to have after July 1st, 2027. Okay? You have to have blocking features to prevent the printer from printing firearms and illegal firearm parts. How are they going to do this? What they're going to do is they're basically, it looks like they're going to try and make it to where the software will basically handshake. Think of it like DRM for video games, right? Where in order for you to play the game, there's digital rights management, and it has to handshake a server, right? And go, hello, I'm here, in order for the printer to work. And then that handshake will say, hey, does this printer's firmware have the blocking software installed? Right? So that you can't print these illegal things. So that's basically the kind of 15,000 foot view, right? Specifically, firmware design, integrations of a firearms blueprint detection algorithm directly into the 3D printer's firmware, right? So I want to ask two questions because I just saw your face contort, right? Hearing what I'm describing, let's say they pass this law. Is it even practical to accomplish?
Yeah, I think they could. I think you're obviously going to have like some sort of success versus like fail rate. So you're going to piss off a lot of people who are just trying to, I don't know, print
Anal beads.
Yeah. And then they're like, why is this like coming up in AK-47 part? It's anal beads. And then they're going to get mad. So yeah, I would say to answer your question, I think it is doable.
How difficult is it going to be for them to do?
That I don't know. You can do it. I would think that it's not entirely difficult, but you're going to shell out some money. You're going to need to hire like the right people to do that, to build that kind of system. But yeah, I would say it's going to be costly for whoever is going to do this, not technically like a difficult issue.
Yeah. So I'm going to draw a weird parallel based on something somebody's saying in the chat. First Amendment. Yes and no, because we have restrictions. So, for example, if you go out there and look at some of the AI chat programs, they have very specific stuff, a lot of them, especially the ones that are more adult oriented, to attempt, or at least attempt, to keep these AI image generators and AI chat programs from generating child porn, right? Because child porn is illegal, right? And they've said, look, you've got to find a way to at least try to like knock this down.
Yeah.
Right. So I know that I don't think it's a First Amendment thing, right? The two that you're trying, I understand the privacy concerns, right? To a degree, right? I get the privacy concerns to a degree. Because, yeah, you're basically allowing somebody to monitor what you're manufacturing to a greater or lesser degree. And so you can expand this kind of handshake and database stuff to prevent you from making stuff that would be considered IP law. Right? Like, hey, Disney says you can't 3D print Mickey Mouse ears because they own that IP. I don't know if that one would stand up to strict scrutiny if it went to court, right?
Yeah.
What this one's really, really difficult. Again, the way this was put into our Discord channel when somebody requested this as a topic was very much like, I'm against this. Now I watched the videos that they provided to me. I think that the person that was analyzing it was really going way down the slippery slope argument, right? At fair. Like, I get it. But nothing in the law as written right now addresses anything but firearms, right? Nothing. Okay. That's really what it's designed to do. Could they expand this law later? Absolutely. I have no doubt that someone will try, right? This one, as far as whether, even if they pass the law, it's going to get sued to death, right? The 3D printer manufacturers are going to sue them for undue burden, right? The 3D printers are going to sue them for violating, I don't know, Second Amendment, whatever, right? And it's going to have to go through a whole court process. So I don't think they're going to make their July 1st, 2027 implementation date, because I think it's going to take longer to get through the court system. So now that we've kind of talked about this, do you think it's a good law, bad law? Like, we talk about technology, especially in relation to AI a lot, and how AI needs regulation. And right now it's the Wild West for the most part. I have to say, with the danger that 3D printed firearms do make, because they are unregistered, they're not tracked. Now, to be fair, they're also not very high quality. Nobody's made a really good 3D printed firearm yet that really lasts. Because the filament that you use to make firearms, that you use to 3D print stuff, doesn't do well when you're putting explosive rounds through it. Right?
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. What do you think?
So I think it's going to be clunky, but overall, I would have to say this is a good thing. Hate me, but I'm going to use the example of like chemicals. There's a lot of chemicals that can be used in several different ways, but we all know that if you order a certain amount of chemicals and a combination of chemicals that you can make explosives out of, you're going to be flagged and you're going to get like a knock from whatever agency deals with that. I don't know, FBI, CIA,
ATF.
DEA.
ATF would be.
ATF.
Oh, you're talking about the chemicals?
Yeah, like if they think you're trying to make a
bomb. That's ATF.
All right, so ATF. So like it's the same. It's kind of the same thing there, right? Like, and maybe they don't just like completely deny you; they flag you, and you're like on a list somewhere, and then it's reviewed. You know, ATF comes in and is like,
"What the heck are you doing?
Anal beads, or is that a gun?"
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know.
Anal beads are a gun, because that's the only thing people make with 3D printers now is anal beads and firearms. Okay, and that's where we'll leave that segment. Again, I think we're early days on this one. I think it's a little too early to be like, this is horrible or this is great. But again, I do think it's interesting, and I think it's something that we should look at. And this is kind of the role of what government's supposed to do. So anyway, let us know what you think down in the comments section below.